Hey Buns, today we need to talk about the ENDWALKER patches because, look, this is a video that I wanted to make quite some time ago, but I myself actually got really burnt out for the first time in the entire time I've been playing these games, which is since 2015, since Heaven's Ward. I've been an active player ever since then.
It has nothing to do... Okay. Never mind. I'm not going to say that.
And it was the first time that I actually felt like I really needed to step away and take a breather, and I did. I did just that, because although I had thought about a lot of these things before, I was thinking, well, am I just being burnt out? Am I being unfairly negative? Am I being...
Wait, this is about the patch content and not the base 6.0? Which is why I said title is misleading. So if she were to give her opinion on 6.0, she would say it's really, really good. Oh.
a hater.
Oh, she has. Patches are part of the expansion, though. True. But I think what she's pointing out is that we're 42 seconds in, guys. I think what she's pointing out is that she's taking issue with the patches. Like, I mean, which, yeah, I mean, it is part of the expansion. I mean, it's what you are paying to play, and it's what you have. So, I mean, you can still definitely have the opinion that an entire expansion is the worst one you've played based just on the patch content. I think that's a valid opinion to have, because she's obviously played the base game. She's played 6.0, we know that. But that doesn't mean that she can't have the opinion that ENDWALKER as a whole isn't that good because the patch content, in her opinion, is not good. So let's just chill and just let's hear what she has to say.
So I took that break and I came back feeling refreshed and revitalized.
And we've seen pretty much all the patch content ENDWALKER has to offer. So, well, 6.5 is going to be really important. The finale of the 12 is huge, and narratively speaking, I have a lot to say about that.
Love with the game again, and I'm having fun again. I'm working on my glams, I'm raiding, I'm doing the hunt trains, I've got my bluebird bow, which I love, and nice. I can't wait to get the bunny staff. These are amazing. So looking forward to Dawn Trail, looking forward to FanFest in London, and overall, you know, back in love with this game that means so much to me and is really home for me. But with all that said, looking back now with a much more clear mind, I think, I definitely feel that the concerns that I had before, some of them definitely had real merit. And I think it's not a coincidence that it's not just me, but almost everyone I know seems to be burnt out with FFX Heavy right now and just not logging into the game or raid logging or just completely disinterested and feeling like, well, there's so little pressure to log in and I could either log in now or maybe next year or maybe in 5.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree in the... I just have to pause and say, like, I can agree in the regard that it got to the point where my FFX Heavy subscription lapsed for the first time. Ever. So, you know, I understand that, and a lot of that had to do with just not really having too much of a reason to log in. Besides, like, to make sure my house doesn't get demoed and to sometimes do tome cap, which I don't really even do because I haven't been Savage raiding, so I don't really have a reason to get the high, you know, the Savage gear. I mean, it just doesn't really matter. All the high-end content in the game that I actually want to do, like UCOB, is level 70 anyway, so it's not, you know, for me, I'm having to be, like, convinced, essentially, to log in to do UCOB, to clear COB with, Claire really wants to do it, I'd be down. We're trying to come up with a time for that, so we might be cobbing soon, because I'm Golden Bahamut prog. Like, that's my prog point, is literally we should have got to Golden Bahamut, we wiped at 0.01% on ads phase, and that's because our fizz range, you know, our fizz range LB missed. It missed one of the targets, so, you know, ain't that a bitch. So anyway, I definitely can relate to not necessarily feeling like I need to log in once you get the stories of, like, the Myths of the Realm and Pandemonium. I feel like the side content is enjoyable, but a lot of the extra stuff is either like a repetitive grind, like getting the relic weapons, because you're just grinding tomes, and the crafting relic as well is pretty much just like repeating the same tasks over and over, which you know, that's what MMOs have, and that's what they are, but it's just like not significant enough of like a boost for my character or the progression of my character, or cool enough, I guess, for me to like care about getting on and doing it. But that's completely subjective. That's the key in this situation is I'm saying all this, and there's some of you sitting in the chat thinking to yourself, I don't feel like that at all. Like, I don't feel that way. I'm fucking loving it. Like, I'm fucking, and like, totally valid. And that's great. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. And so that's what's really important. We're only 1 minute and 45 seconds in this video. This is going to be a transformative video, I'll tell you that much. But like, we are going to hear things that we are going to disagree with, but that does not invalidate that she still feels and sees it that way. So just keep that in mind as we continue. We all feel differently about it. And like I just said, I don't have only positive things to say, but I do have positive things to say too. So.
5 years, you know. And so, yes, there's still one more patch, but we know exactly what is going to be in it because, for better or for worse, this has been very, very predictable too. And I'm seeing social groups sort of dissolve.
What does that mean? I'm curious what that means. This has been very, very predictable. I'm curious what she means by that. I would like to know. Oh, we know who the next trial boss is? The way the patches are laid out, not the story part? Okay. Right, it's like we know exactly what content. It's like, here's the trial, here's the dungeon, here's some armor, here's an upgrade to your relic. Cool. You know, alliance raid, you know, whatever it is. Trials, alliance raid. I'm not trying to be exactly accurate with 6.5. I'm just saying an example of how that could be presented. But SHB, we were always hit with a curveball. Fair. And no exploration zone. Look, they can't just expose to us that Mandervillians are a spacefaring race that came to this world without the potential for us to go there. It just kind of surprises me that they did not leverage Manderville as a relic destination. I can't believe that to an extent. Like, they give you the story that they came here from another world, and we don't get that as an exploration zone or anything? I don't know about that. That seems like a pretty big missed opportunity. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
And I'm seeing social groups sort of dissolve, and it sucks. I'm concerned about the state of the MMO, and although I'm not doomsaying, okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not out here like, oh, well, this is the end of FFX Heavy, it's all over, it's ruined. No, I'm not saying that, okay?
We've all played ENDWALKER anyways. We know that that can never be the case. It's never the end. We forge ahead, period. But, you know.
But what I am saying is that there are concerning signs, and I'm seeing less engagement from everyone I personally know. And I thought, well, you know, maybe it's just my group of people that I know. So I went on Twitter and I asked the question to do a vibe check of the community. Be honest. How do you feel about the ENDWALKER patches? And I was honestly shocked by the number of people that just felt like it's underwhelming, it's lackluster, it's just not that interesting. These are not people who are saying, it's terrible, I hate it, it sucks. That's not really what I'm hearing that much. What I'm hearing is, it's mid. It's fine. I don't really care that much. I'm hearing apathy. I'm hearing like, it's okay. And honestly, that's not gonna cut it. Like, if we want to keep people playing this game long term and have people to play with, I feel like
God damn it. Why'd you guys have me muted? Why'd you guys all have me turned down, man? Turn the volume up. What the fuck?
Honestly, that's not gonna cut
chat.
it. Like, if we want to keep people playing this game long term,
don't worry about what I said. It wasn't that funny
anyway.
Anyway.
Play with.
Caredwin, leave that in. If we edit this, leave it in. And I want the chat to try to mouth read, lip read, and come up with what I said.
Wheat thins are nice, yes. Real good.
looking forward to log in. I can't wait to log in and play FFX Heavy, because especially this year, I think what we're starting to see is that there are a ton of really quality games coming out, and they are, for better or worse, in competition for your time. And it's wonderful that FFX Heavy does not, you know, pressure you so much to log in. It has never done that. But in the past expansions, we have, although the game hasn't been pressuring you too much to log in, there have been exciting things that we could all log in together to do, that people had reasons to do. Yes, it is normal for, after a patch has been out for a while, people to get burnt out and bored. It's normal for, at the end of an expansion's life cycle, for people to get, well, I'll just go do other stuff. That's okay. That always happens. But what I'm seeing is this happening soon after, like a week after a major patch comes out, or like I started to see this phenomenon after the first like major patch of the whole expansion, 0.1 patch, 0.2 patch.
It does depend on what your friends and the people you surround yourself with actively engage in, and I don't think it's far-fetched to assume that they probably have similar interests to you, like, I don't know, raiding and stuff like that. I think Zepla's into raiding. I'm gonna move forward a little bit. That was just kind of a scary frame. So like, I mean, if you're friends with people that you share interests with, and that part of the game is kind of a lull or dull for you at the time, it makes sense that you would see a trend of people not being around. But if you truly are engaging with people that do all types of content, or people that are like big into crafting and doing those different kinds of grinds and that kind of stuff, I feel like, yeah, it could definitely be an indicator of trends. But also we have to remember that the friends list in FFX Heavy is limited to like 200 people, which is, you know, it's limited, which is interesting in the first place. But our social circles may not be as big as we think they are, and I don't know. I think that's something to consider as well. We just have to think. There's a lot of analytics that go into something like that, but the feel of that is something that we can only kind of describe in more, let's say, less accurate terms, objectively. So, anyway.
0.3 patch. This should not be as big of a phenomenon as it is so early on in the life cycle of the expansion, and so I'm worried. And we're going to talk about all the contributing factors. And if you're having a good time, good for you. I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't be having fun. If you're having fun, great, keep at it. But this is an MMO, right? And we want people to be excited to log in. If they're not, then it's just not as good. It's not a single player game, even though lately it feels like they are trying to turn it into that. One thing I keep hearing,
the primary bulk of content in this game, I would say, is centered around solo play. The MSQ is something pretty unique to Final Fantasy XIV. And it is a significant chunk of what the game is. There is a reason why so many people like to tune in when people are doing that content. And obviously, some get more viewers than others for whatever reason. But don't other MMOs have MSQ like storylines with cutscenes? No. World of Warcraft does not have a main story quest line. No, that's not a thing. Like there's like, you can't start World of Warcraft in Classic and go to any real length of expansion, and and have a linear story experience. It's just not. I said Classic. Vanilla is what I should call it. It's just not built like that. It's very much, it exists within its own pocket. And outside of that expansion, there's some links for like a story about other things. But it's not about you. It's not told in the same way at all. And RuneScape certainly does not have that. And those are the two other primary MMOs that I've played. So.
Hearing from people is that, oh, I'm burnt out. But I don't think that's even the right word, because with burnout...
Maybe Guild Wars 2 I've never played. Maybe that has that.
That's when
Maybe
you do something so much, so often, every day, so hard and so long that you just get sick of it and you can't think about it. You don't want to think about it anymore. You're tired of it. And it's such a relief to stop.
Burnout.
But this isn't really what I'm seeing with people. These are people that want to do something. It's more like how burnout is actually thought of in the car world, where you just sit there, you stay put, and you're spinning the wheels, but you're not going anywhere. Getting in the car, there's a lot of smoke. This car could be fun to drive at some point, but that point is not right now because you are stationary. Now, one thing that I'm really tired of hearing, and I think a lot of us are at this point just sick of hearing, is, well, Yoshi P says that you can just go play other games. If you're not happy with them, just go play other... Well, that's what I've been doing, okay? I played other games for 6 months. Yes, I'm glad I can play other games. I'm glad that FFX Heavy doesn't pressure me to the extent that World of Warcraft used to. But I think that these are two ends of the spectrum.
Yo, she kind of cooking right now. She kind of cooking, chat. Why is she getting so much fucking hate for this? I know we're only 6 minutes in, but she's kind of cooking right now. I'm just saying. She's kind of cooking. Kind of spitting.
World of Warcraft being on the extreme end of, oh my god, I have to be on this treadmill and I have to keep up or I'm going to fall behind and stuff. That's a way to burn out quickly.
Yeah.
And now FFX Heavy is so far and going further in the other end of the spectrum of, oh, there's so little pressure on me that I could either do this today or I could do it next year. You know, like, this also has a similar effect of just having people not in the game.
I think the only exception to that is there has been 2 ultimates, which are insane content. I mean, oh, Top and DSR are fucking nasty. And people that can do that are skilled players. So, she's done DSR. I don't think she's done Top. Top is fucking... Top is like DSR, except not cool or fun. I mean, it's cool thematically in the end for the final phase, but everything else about Top is just pain. But when you think about some of the other content, Savage, if you have like an organized group, Savage is not that insane. Like, it's just not, like, it's fun and it's good content, and the storylines that you get from the normal raid are great. You don't need to do Savage. But the other content, I think, it's pretty like casual, I guess, to the point where I kind of agree with her take. Like, I'm not really compelled to do Island Sanctuary that much. Not that I want to be forced to micromanage it, because that's not the point of the system. But, like, I just don't feel compelled to engage with it very much. Even though the rewards are, like, kind of cool, I just don't think the gameplay is that fun for me, so I just don't do it. It feels like more like chores to me, and I don't really like it. But that's just my take. And so I could see why people might not want to, like, log in for that content. It might not be compelling for them, that type of thing. If you're not into the Manderville storyline, which, let's be honest, a lot of people are not into the Manderville storyline. They don't think the humor's funny, or they never got into it because it was arduously fucking long in A Realm Reborn and kind of overwritten through that period as well. Like, I can't blame people for not being, you know, super invested in Manderville. So, like, if you're not into those kinds of things, I could certainly see why right now it's just not that compelling. But
effect of just having people not in the game. They're just not playing the game, ultimately. That's
Oh, I was gonna comment. She says in a second here, she says, when people leave, a lot of them don't come back. I don't know about that necessarily. I think many players still consistently return on patches. And I think that's very normal behavior for MMOs. So, like, this idea that, like, once they leave and start playing other games, they're never going to come back and play it. I don't know if I agree with that. Right now, I'm playing Subnautica, right? It was a sub goal. I am genuinely enjoying it. But, you know, am I going to come back and play 14 when I'm done? Yes. Am I also going to play other games? Yes. Like Armored Core 6, I would like to play. I'd probably like to try Starfield at least, even if it's for memes and to see bugs.
That's the end result, and this damages social groups. It damages the health of the game and the longevity of the game, because a lot of times people will go play other games and they just won't come back. Seeing FFX Heavy go down this path where people feel less and less motivated or interested or incentivized at all to log in at end game, I think that it's really helpful to listen, I cannot believe I'm saying, to Ian Has A Costas.
No. Uh-oh. This might be where the bad takes come in. Uh-oh. Ian Has A Costas is not the person. He is not that guy. You know it's bad when you quote Ian of all people? Well, I do not particularly like Ian Has A Costas, but do I think that he's responsible for the reasons why I stopped being interested in the game? No, I don't think so. But some people might take that as a hot fucking take, like a nuclear hot take, considering the state of World of Warcraft in recent years.
I stand by this because he does explain really well why it is important to incentivize players somewhat to play the game that you're making. And this is from the interview that Mike from Preach Gaming had with Ian.
I mean, that's a fair take. Yeah, I think you should incentivize playing the game in some capacity. Yeah, it's a very, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
At Blizzard HQ about 6 months ago, and this particular part of the interview really stood out to me because to me, I heard FFX Heavy all over this.
You know, our goal is never habit in the sense of like...
I would like to point out she is very specifically targeting one thing that he said in this, which I think is a good point to take away. It doesn't seem to me, if we use, you know, our big noodle here, doesn't seem to me that she's saying we should just do what Ian Has A Costas does. And like, let's just do Ian. That's clearly not what she's saying. She's saying this specific thing that he said is what I'm talking about, and this is the take that I agree with.
You have to log in when you don't.
This particular part of the interview really stood out to me because to me, I heard FFX Heavy all over this.
You know, our goal is never habit in the sense of like you have to log in when you don't want to. Our goal is for you to want to log in. Our goal is for you to want to play World of Warcraft and to look forward to getting back into the game, to have something you want to complete, something you want to chase. And if you're not wanting it, then
why would you do it?
Getting you to do it despite that isn't a victory for us.
Wow. And when I heard Ian say that, I was like, wow, that's actually a good ass take. When the fuck, why isn't he ever, you know, why can't you now, can you just do that now? Can you just do that now though? That would be great if you could just do that. And a lot of people would say that they are. I haven't been playing WoW. I'm not going to tell you. That's why I don't fucking complain about or really talk shit about WoW's game mechanics anymore, because I don't know what it is now anymore. Things are fucking different. I didn't even finish Dragonflight. I got to level fucking 70 way before I should have. I got bored of the fucking storyline in the Plains of the Centaurs because they were boring as shit, and the side quests were better than the main story in that quest line. And then I just got bored. So like, don't listen to me in that regard. So, I don't know.
It's just burning people out.
Yep.
And so I think giving people the freedom to feel like they can take a step away, do something in real life, play another game for a while without falling behind is valuable. I think the one thing that we do worry about when it comes to, you know, sort of the raid logging phenomenon or people taking breaks is the social nature of the game. Is, you know, sort of the critical mass of keeping a group together. If the person who is really excited to log in to do things with their guildmates logs in, and no one from their guild is online because of whatever reason, and then they just log back off, kind of disappointed because they were hoping to play with friends, but their friends weren't around, that can be an issue. And I think
definitely, that's absolutely true. When you log in and you're like hoping that some of the guild homies are on so you can kick it in some dungeons or what the fuck ever, and like no one's on, you're like, I miss progression. And that's frank. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really do think that as much as I enjoyed competitive like play and like higher level play, not, you know, world competition level play, but just higher level play, I think the social aspect of it was one of the biggest reasons that I did it. Looking back on it, you just hung out with people way more because people were just around. So it was pretty cool.
I think that's something, you know, going back to WoD, to Warlords of Draenor.
That Harry Potter game fucked up our WoW prog in the first raid.
Era where really there was like, other than checking your Garrison, if it wasn't raid night, there was nothing to do. That felt like a step too far toward that end of the spectrum.
We joked around whenever ENDWALKER came out that, oh, Island Sanctuary, that's going to be the Garrison of Final Fantasy XIV. And I thought we were kidding, but we weren't.
I mean, the Garrison was functionally very powerful. Like, mechanically, you could gather almost any resource that you needed to make potions and foods and things like that. you could trade items, you could get an auction house in your garrison. So you didn't have to go anywhere. There was no one else there with you ever. I don't think that, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think that people interact with their island sanctuary like that. Maybe I'm incorrect, but I feel like if anything, that would be more prevalent with housing than even the island sanctuary. And we don't really make that comparison or complain about that very often. I don't know. It's an interesting take, but I do think that the garrison is just way too. It's got way too much utility and was way too useful for the actual progression and continued play of the game than the Island Sanctuary is. The Island Sanctuary doesn't provide you anything that you actually could utilize, frankly, for endgame purposes like raiding or anything like that. Whereas World of Warcraft, that's how it was. Like, it actually fueled supplies and stuff. It was big. So.
It is. It is actually, it feels a lot like the Garrison. This expansion reminds me a lot of Warlords of Draenor, which sucks.
I'd like to hear in what ways. I'm curious in what ways she means that. Because I actually am one of the rare players who played through all of Warlords of Draenor. And I definitely think that there were huge missed opportunities, but there are also big highlights for WoD.
I quit World of Warcraft during Warlords of Draenor. Now, it's not as an end.
A lot of people did.
But I'm sensing a lot of the same vibes of
Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Watch those subs roll.
Like, I'm not even in an MMO anymore. One of the biggest reasons why ENDWALKER has felt pretty lonely and isolating in the same ways that Warlords of Draenor felt to me all those years ago is the lack of an exploration zone, the lack of anything like Baja or Eureka or Zadnor. We just don't have that, and there's nothing added to the game that could even remotely replace that. And it's not even so much about
take me to Mandeville.
Oh well, I just love farming fates in Baja. I just love hunting down little items that has a tiny drop rate.
Fates in Baja, real fun.
It's not really even so much about the specific things there was.
I've said it before, chat. Eureka's better than Baja. Just saying.
To do in Baja.
The raid slapped, and the story in Baja was good, but yep, the vibes. As she's just about to say, the vibes.
The vibe of Eureka and Baja. It's about being in a zone filled with tons of other players.
What's up, Ponto?
That reminds you that you're in
no Eureka style content.
That there's a lot of people playing the same game as you, and it's really exciting, and we're all happy to be there for different reasons. Like, you might be in Baja because you're leveling, or because you're working on a relic, or because you're doing duels, or because you're collecting mounts, or because you're farming gil, you're doing cluster farming. There's a ton of different reasons why all kinds of different people would be in these places. And you might meet people that you wouldn't have known otherwise. You might meet people that were strangers to you before, but you have shared this common purpose, and then you meet more often, and that's how you make friends in the game. That's one of the beautiful things about an MMO.
Imagine making friends in the game. Disparage, dude. Oh my god. I don't remember the last time I organically just ran into and made a friend in an MMO, dude. I'm such an antisocial bitch now that I'm like older. Now that I'm an adult, I don't want to talk to people. I'm like, stay the fuck away from me.
But with the content that they're releasing now, which is like solo stuff and small group stuff.
Except in RuneScape. I actually do talk to people in RuneScape, but people in RuneScape are, not that people in Final Fantasy aren't, but RuneScape players are a different breed, man. They say just the darnest things.
You're usually going in there with people you know or alone. And it sucks because it's like, where
Or I just randomly join a group. I mean, you can just randomly join a group. I did that several times in Baja specifically. And then in Eureka too. I mean, you just use PF. I don't know. There was groups going for that. I mean, even when we did Eureka, there was groups going for that. We just ran into. There's another reason why I disagree with the take. Name an MMO that keeps previous content relevant. RuneScape. Old school RuneScape. Get on, bitch. That's about it. Not WoW. Yeah, WoW doesn't do that. Not Destiny.
And
it's true, Ryan.
It's like, where else can you even show off your
mount
true
reusable
to other players?
Yeah.
In the game, like, you can't do it in the city. Baja was the place to do that. It's the place where everyone is. It's the place that's happening that makes you.
That is pretty fucking true, dude.
Feel like, oh.
The fact that you can, you know, there's people don't generally hang out anywhere where you can actually like get on mounts and like flex the cool shit. It's like hunt trains.
Oh, there's something cool going on and everybody else is doing it and I can't wait to be there with them. That's the heart and soul of an MMO. And without that, it just feels really, really empty, frankly. And I definitely feel like the lack of a place like that where everyone is, that feels like it's popping off, like this is the place to be, it might contribute to, or even be, a self-fulfilling prophecy where you get it into your head, well, I barely see anyone else and so this game is dead, right? Of course that is going to be reinforced if you're not doing anything. You're not called to do anything where you can actually see tons of other players around. I've been finding myself happy to see lots of people standing around the Aetheryte. And that's about as far as it gets in me feeling like I'm in an MMO. And frankly, that's unacceptable. One of the reasons that we had those before and we don't now is because in the past, Eureka and Basha, these exploratory zones, they were tied in with the Relic Journey. And for whatever reason, not only did they choose to remove these zones from ENDWALKER completely, but they also removed the Relic Journey. There is no Relic Journey for ENDWALKER. You cannot say that turning in Tombstones each time counts as a Relic Journey. So,
is it logical at all to link that to the fact that the Hildebrand quest line is a lot of content? I wonder if it has anything to do with like the fact that you have to do that. They're still playing catch up from COVID and 16. Yeah, I was gonna talk about that as well, but we're not deep enough to get. To go into that. We're not at that point yet. I was wondering if that change also had an influence from player feedback. Maybe, but was it truly so vocally like hated? There was two sides to this. On one hand, people want their relic to be a journey. On one hand, on the other hand, a journey means you're probably not going to get many multiple of them. Well, I think that the solution to that is make the first one a journey, and then after that, make it a farmable by doing tombstones. Why not just do that? And then you get both. Then you can farm them, and the first one's a journey, and a story, and a progression, or whatever. That'd be cool. That's what they should do. Isn't the first one usually the easier one? I think the first one typically is going to be pretty easy because you're going to get it as a consequence, not a consequence, as a result of just doing the content, right? Like typically if you just do the content and like engage in the content, you're going to get the stuff that you need about the time that you need to get it. I think that was my experience, at least in Eureka. It's odd that people complain about relics and needing to do them when they're hardly even a good weapon choice compared to anything else except for glam. Yeah. Same with ultimate weapons, frankly. Like, I think an ultimate weapon is like hardly even an upgrade, if anything, over like the final savage weapon. So relics are still bis for ulties. Oh, are they? Well, there you go. That's cool. That's good. They aren't bis enough to matter.
If you're new.
There it is.
In the past,
Makes such
in
a
every other
negligible
expansion
difference.
of Final Fantasy 14 ever,
Thanks,
the
Ribbon.
relic has been a very special weapon that has been a journey for you to get. Now, usually you complete it in stages,
Those are
each
sick.
stage becoming increasingly more cool looking, shiny, it transforms over time. And with each stage, you need to go grind some materials. You need to go, I don't know, farm
Stormblood
fates, maybe do
relics.
some dungeon or whatever to get the materials you need to upgrade it to...
Yeah, you're not going to struggle on ultimate because you don't have the relic. You are probably, because it's already proven that it can be done with lesser gear ahead of time, right? So at that point, like, you already know, there is a level of skill, and with the very first, like, gear set that's available when it first comes out, sorry for the bad pause, the very first gear set that comes out, it's going to be at its highest difficulty, right? So as time progresses, it's only going to become more easy or easier, unless they literally mechanically change something that alters the fight in such a way that makes it more difficult. But otherwise, gear is just always going to help you.
To the next stage. And so it's this long process. It's meant to cover the entire expansion, and it really is casual content. because at the very
But it won't be the reason why you can't kill the fight. That's what I'm trying to say. It will help you, but it's not going to be the reason. So yes, I agree with you.
very end of it, very end of the expansion, then you have a pretty good weapon. And it's a sparkly weapon, and it shows that you had dedication and you had patience. So it's a great way for a casual player who maybe doesn't want to raid to get a really cool weapon that they can be proud of, that shows they were committed to this.
It's like a skill cape in a way. Skill capes are forever, and they have actual utility. But it's that flex item. I mean, it's that long. It's like that long grind, that like achievement. I don't know. It's that item that you can show off. You see certain relics, and you're like, dude.
And it's something to be proud of for sure. It always has been. But this is the first expansion where I have not heard shit from anybody about their relics, because the relics are in the game.
I hear people talking about like, oh, I got this many, or like I got this one, and you know, it's cool. They like link it. We're like, oh yeah, that looks cool. But like, there's not a discussion about getting the relic. You know, it's not really. There's nothing really to say about a journey of any sort. You know, oh, I went and did some dungeons and got my relic. You know, it's not. It's like there's just not much to say. So I think I understand where she's coming from here.
The relics are still in the game for ENDWALKER, but to upgrade the relic this time, just turn in Tombstones, and it's not even that many. In fact, most people, you can log in, and if you hadn't been spending Tombstones, you have enough. And that's
that's probably, you know, that's painfully probably accurate.
It's literally a tombstone weapon. There's no cool, like, there's no process really to get it.
Well, no, there is a process of really having to work up a sweat and then dropping it in a vial. That there is, you know, don't act like Mr. Godbert Mandeville is not out here, you know, doing the Lord's work, but shirtless, you know, comrades helping as well, in his underwear primarily, but, you know, he did, you know, or an alien's work, a god alien, a god symbiote alien.
Anyway, there's no journey. They just removed that completely. Why? Why did they do this?
Skip cutscene.
I do not understand. We have Tombstone weapons already.
I skipped the cutscene too.
Why do we need another worse Tombstone weapon? I am truly baffled by this decision. Because
they look cool. That's the only reason. She is pissed. She seems, when she says she's baffled by this, she's genuinely seems like, look at that face. That is the face of like if you pissed off your mom. You ever seen that look from your mom right there? Like that one time when you talked back and she was like, mm-hmm. You want to say that again? And you're like, no. That's the look. She looks upset.
By them to
I don't blame her.
Get rid
Makes
of
sense.
this thing that also
zones
served
are cool.
the very important purpose of keeping people engaged with the game.
True, and it told a great narrative.
A lot between.
Let's not ignore that the fucking the main stories, you finally get, in Eureka, you get, and you get the fucking, and you get, what the fuck else do you get? You get, and then in Baja, you know, you get the fucking, you get, you get, you know, there's a lot going on there. Let's not ignore that it's just like, let's not pretend like it's just a fucking zone that we just go kill things in. Like, there's more to it than that. They tell great storylines, and both are great pieces of content. So I agree with the take that I really would have liked to see an exploration zone, and I think that there is a very obvious choice for what it should have been.
Between patches. It's the thing that, like, it gave you something to do between patches. For example, I think it was at the end of Stormblood.
That does sound kind of terrible, KS. I don't know.
There was a big content drought, like a giant one. And maybe, I'm pretty sure it was end of Stormblood. And somebody had asked Yoshi P, Yoshi P, what do we do? Waiting. It's such a long drought. What do we do? Waiting for the next expansion. And he said, oh, just get every relic weapon. And people were kind of mad at him at the time because it was kind of a cop-out answer, but it was a valid answer.
Go do Siege of Orgrimmar
getting
for
each one was time-consuming. That's really what the purpose that it served in the past.
Sansa's in here.
Keep you busy waiting for the content. But without that,
She's in
it's
here.
almost like they deliberately are now choosing to not have you play the game between the patches. This is the first expansion in all my years of...
Now that's where it this is where it becomes tough for me, because now we're like assuming intent, and I think that that is really tough. I think assuming intent is very dangerous, because that's what paints an image in our mind and starts a narrative that might not necessarily be true and accurate. So we just take it from me. We just have to be careful about assuming intent when it comes to this kind of stuff, because there's not... I mean, we get a lot of interaction with our devs. I mean, I just did the Rising, and that was phenomenal this year. And I just, from my perspective, I don't see intent to intentionally disengage the player. And I would think that maybe this will be linked to Final Fantasy 16. Maybe it won't, but I don't know. We'll continue here.
Playing FFX Heavy that I don't even know what my relic looks like. I don't know. And my friends who normally send me screenshots of, look, I just got the new relic for my job, and oh, I just got another relic. It's usually a thing we are excited to share because it's a big deal. It's like a big milestone every time that you get your relic and you upgrade it, because it's hard to do. Nobody I know is even getting a relic. Nobody's even going after it now because it's not cool, because it's easy to get.
I'm not going to sit and say, well, my friends, blah, 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 because I don't think it's a good argument. I think what I'm hearing is a little, you know, when you start to hear nobody is doing this, nobody, like, that's very, sounds like a very definitive statement. And when we hear the words nobody, we think of ourselves, we think the people that we know, and we're like, well, that's obviously not true. But we have to remember that, like, this is from her perspective. And so, like, maybe the people that she's used to engaging with in the game, like she's explaining, they're not sending screenshots to each other. Nobody that I know is doing it. And I feel like she's just kind of maybe shortening that statement into nobody. So I don't know. Yeah. It's just probably best to not do that. Because then when you say everybody, nobody, everybody, like when you throw those words around, people will feel included in that. So, I don't know.
It has no value because it's just...
Yeah, there are a lot of people on the same page as that. I 100% agreed with her and thought these things a year ago. It's been a rough patch cycle. Yeah, and there are people that definitely 100% agree. And there's people that 100% disagree. And that's the whole point of this that's kind of one of the... Before we started watching the video, we kind of talked about how... And we've talked about it markedly, like, through the video, that the enjoyment of a video game in general is an incredibly subjective thing. And you can talk to 5 different people, 10 different people, 30 different people, and they might all have completely different opinions, ratings for something, experiences, right? So we just have to remember that, like, when Zepla comes on and she presents herself in this manner, that, like, she is speaking from her own perspective. And, like, ours may not align with that, and that's just gonna happen. You just gotta accept that. Some people are definitely gonna agree. They're gonna be like, you know what? I experienced the exact same thing. This resonates with me. I get it. And those people's opinions are, of course, just as valid and, like, important as the people that completely disagree. And that's why it's so difficult for game devs to hear all the thoughts and words and opinions of every person and to make changes that are meaningful for a game. That's why this is a hard thing to do. If it was easy, wouldn't every fucking game dev, MMO studio and everything just be doing it? Like, how come it's a struggle for everyone? Because it's fucking hard. Especially in MMOs where you're appealing to a very wide and broad audience of different types of players and people. So it's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna happen. That's why you can't, there's very, very few catch-alls that work in video games and in MMOs. So this is something I've heard even, and I'm gonna talk about him, even Has A Costas. I've heard him talk about it as well. how in the past they have really tried to cater to every individual audience that they can identify throughout the game. But at some point you can start to stretch yourself too thin and you're not spending quality time developing content for the majority of players because you're trying to make you know, comprehensive content for so many different types of players that it becomes kind of a wash. So it is a very difficult thing to achieve, and we just have to remember that this is why, because we're just gonna have different opinions. So I would just I don't know, maybe as even an extension of myself, I would ask, you know, just try not to be too hard on when people are venting, really is what I think is happening at this point. Venting their frustrations, because this is not that far off from some of the things that I said about World of Warcraft, right? That was a little more extreme because they were having some very wrong things happening within their business. We, you know, don't need to get into all that, but it's I think it comes from a very similar place of frustration. So yeah, I don't know.
Anyone can get it. So what does it mean? What does it say? Why would they remove this? It just feels like laziness. Frankly, it feels like maybe they didn't even want to put it at all, but they felt like they had to, and they put the lowest amount of effort into it as possible. They really phoned it in, and frankly, it's shameful, because this is not what the Relic is meant to be.
Damn.
It is meant to be something to keep you busy for a little longer, but it also feels like it's a deliberate choice.
She was cooking, but don't get burned, okay? She was cooking earlier, but just don't get burned. You just gotta be careful. Take it from the Pyromancer. Just be careful.
That they do not want people even logging in that much. They just don't want you to feel like you need to log in at all. It's crazy. Now, the next thing.
Keep in mind as well that we did also have like the first fan fest in a long time this year, okay? And FF16 was occurring. So, I don't know. Laziness is not what I would go immediately to, but, you know, I'm also not actively frustrated in this moment, and so I wouldn't. I don't have any inclination to say anything inflammatory in a way to express my opinions. So, thankfully, right now, I don't feel that way. But I get it. I do understand why she would have an urge, a provocation of what she's saying. I get it. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I get it.
Thing that it pains me to say, because I am an MSQ Andy. I live for the main story quest of FFX Heavy, and that will never change.
The MSQ is phenomenal.
But I have never been more disappointed with the main story quest than I have in this expansion's patches. Now, I love the 6.0.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
I was waiting for it.
Patches have definitely left a lot to be desired.
I kind of agree to an extent. I really think they should have put those Fiend backstories into the MSQ. Like, I think that there's, I don't know, dude, there's so much characterization of them in those stories that, it was kind of painful to find out that it was just a golden side quest. It's interesting, probably more so if you played 4. I'm gonna say though, I am very disappointed at the meta mount. I am kind of, by collecting all the Lynxes, you get the old Bahamut sprite. Like, what the fuck? What? Okay. Before I collected birds got a bird, horses got a horse, wolf's got a wolf, dragon's got a mecha dragon. You know, like, what? Why am I getting I just don't get that. I was really hoping for a really cool cat. And I'm not even a cat person, so, you know, there's some things like that that I'm not stoked about either. The MSQ, I'm more interested in the story that they're telling with Zero as an ally of ours than, and I'm pretty interested in the whole thing. I'm pretty interested in it, especially at this point now that we're going into the moon on the 13th. I think we're gonna go like into the moon. I don't know. I guess the reason why I would say that it can be kind of middling for me, kind of mid for me, is I think even though it's not just like FF4, it is just like so similar, and I guess probably just, I don't know, dude. I don't know. There's just, I don't know. I want to agree to an extent with this take, but the more that I think about it, the more that I can find things to appreciate about the main story in the patch content. But the fucking main story in 6.0, I think was just so phenomenally, just, I keep saying that, but it is fucking phenomenal. It's amazing. It really is. Like, in my opinion, Shadowbringers and Endwalker might be just like the best back-to-back expansion combo of any fucking video game, like of anything ever. Like it's incredible. Like I don't know how else to explain it, but it almost is like a Stormblood syndrome, right? Where like you have Heavensward, so many people are huge fans of Heavensward, and then right after Stormblood, you have Shadowbringers, right? So you have Stormblood kind of sandwiched between two really good experiences, according to, at least many people who are vocal about it. It's hard to stack up to that, especially when they're trying to basically do like a wrap-up kind of storyline to lead into something that is clearly completely different next expansion. So, yeah, I don't know.
And I was really patient and forgiving for the first couple of major patches. I thought, well, they're setting up for something else, and we're just getting ready to pivot, and there's meant to be a bit of a lull between what's going into the next thing, and blah, 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 blah. But looking back, I feel like I was just kind of making excuses. And I don't want to say that all of the story and every moment in the whole story was terrible. No.
Right.
Because there were good moments. There was a lot of really nice moments. Like the slice of life moments I thought were some of the better parts.
Yeah.
Especially Estinian doing the push-ups. That was really nice.
Oh my god.
I feel like
Zepla,
it is
chill out.
Shameful and obvious that they, instead of making the trial series...
We're so similar, chat. The way that she speaks, she's a powerful speaker. She's very expressive in her face and the way she speaks in general. She has so much. It's not a bad thing. It's just, it can come off very strongly to some people. So, I mean, I could, but she's so emotive. It's part of why she does YouTube and stuff, because it's good. It's a good thing for that.
Side series like we have had with Sorrow of Wirlit or Four Lords in the past, they instead chose to make it the main story quest. They made the trial series the main story quest. We don't have a trial series. We do not have a side series of story.
I forgot about that. I forgot that I forgot that those extremes are technically the trial series, aren't they? Golbez is pretty good. Rubicante, Rubicante's alright. Barbaricha, I like that fight. Why does that matter? We still got the same amount of content, so who gives a shit if it's MSQ or not? Is it the same amount of content? Because doesn't a trial series have its own separate storyline normally? So if the trial series is integrated into the MSQ, doesn't that technically mean it's less content? Or would it just be skipped altogether? Are we assuming that they would have filled that with other MSQ content, or that it's technically the same amount of development time if you think about the MSQ development through that cycle? Does it work like that? I don't know. It feels like it is, even though it feels like it's not, even though it is. We did get to Taru Quest Criterion, and I think the Tataru quest, yeah, the Grand Endeavor stuff has been really sweet. It's been really cute. I've enjoyed it. I have to be honest, I don't know if I'm a big fan of Criterion. I just think it's not rewarding enough. I just think if it was more rewarding, that I would like Criterion. But I mean, the mount that I got was pretty nice, and the lore is good, and that's cool and everything, but I don't know. I don't engage with it, really. They did rework PvP with Crystal Conflict. They've been doing a lot of reworking and updating. So quality of life improvements in the game are to be considered. improvements to the early game. They've got the duty support system set up for fucking all the MSQ now. So that's good. I mean, the game has made strides in the technical fashion, and in other ways, I guess, storytelling, I would say, camera work, which is partly technical. I mean, there's definitely been improvements, but I think that they're not as like obvious to players naturally if they're not like content that is identifiably separate and unique in its own right, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's just hard when you take something as like, oh, this is the trial series for this is the trial series for this, and this, but all of a sudden in Endwalker, it's not like that, and you technically are just gonna do the trials when you go through MSQ. So I don't know, it's just a different... Yo, thank you. Yo, I got a Snickers, chat, let's go.
Of the trial bosses, because they have just put it right into the main story quest. So that's less content. Not only is it less story content overall for us, but it's way less interesting. Because as soon as we were aware that there were these archfiends at the very beginning of the expansion, we knew exactly what was going to happen. Some people are saying, oh, well...
She meant to say patches, not expansion. She meant to say patches.
Well, it's just because 6.0 big arc ended, and then we got a new arc starting in Dawn Trail, and so this is just in between, so you can't expect anything good. That's honestly bullshit, because being constrained in time to tell the story usually means that it's going to be easier to tell a good story.
And also the take that you just can't expect anything good. That's such a dumbass take. What a weird take. That's not her take. She was quoting someone else by saying that, or paraphrasing. But what a dumbass take. What?
If you spend enough time really plotting that out and considering it, like, that's one of the major reasons why I often say Shadowbringers was such a solid story expansion, because they needed to tell the entire story of a planet from beginning, middle, and end within the course of one expansion.
Yeah, that's
so
an
there's all these new
impressive
people
feat.
you meet, there's this huge climax, and they need to wrap it all up before you go. And this made it really satisfying as its own package. So sometimes constraining the story is really,
It's kind of like Draenor,
because you can get all the juice in better. But it feels like...
True. This is kind of a banger,
own package. So sometimes constraining the
text
story
box here
is really, really good, because you can get all the juice in better.
This guy was on screen for like 5 minutes in Shadowbringers. Fucking Seto. Emotional damage. That is just, what a fantastic piece of content.
But it feels like they
still haven't wrapped it up because you're still talking about return.
really took a lazy path, to be quite frank. And
gosh, harsh words.
they decided, oh, well, won't it be so convenient for us to just do callbacks to huge story moments in FF4, try to recreate those. And a lot of times it felt forced, and it felt like we're just artificially trying to recreate this moment from FF4, and I found that to be very frustrating. And we can, instead of having a side story series like Sorrow Weirlit, which I know that's a tough act to follow, we'll just make that the main story quest instead. That has sucked. The story has gotten so predictable that in the previous live letter, they even told us who the next boss was going to be, because they know that we know. And they did it for the last one too.
Yeah, I mean, they showed him. If you played 7, didn't you know what you were going to fight in Sorrows? I mean, once you saw Emerald, like, you would know, right? If you never played Final Fantasy IV, I guess I'd have to really think back on how they set the story up. Because she may have in mind some particulars of the story that, even if she's not showing them, that she's thinking about. I don't know. I see the weapons sort of similar. I don't know. It's more about the storyline for me. I don't really care if the fight, like, I feel like we've known... Well, I don't know. I didn't know that I was going to fight Zodiark, right? But, like, that's also not part of the trial series. Once I fought Zodiark, I had a feeling I was going to fight Hydaelyn. I did not know I'd be fighting a giant Seraph at as the final boss, at the edge of the universe on the back of a fucking mythical dragon. That was unexpected. But, you know, I don't know.
Usually it's like a big secret, like, ooh, we can't even tell you the new trial.
Sorrows of Warlet was different because it was transformative with the weapons. Right, they were pretty much only there as, like, machines for them at that point. Like, narratively, they didn't really tie back to FF7 at all. Like, they didn't really have anything... You know what I mean? Like, because like, the stories of Sorrows was unique in and of itself. So, it made it, yeah, I agree with you. It made it original and compelling. The weapons are nothing like they were in FF7. Yeah, I agree with that. So... Yeah, I guess FF4 you do have a lot more narrative to work with because they're actually giving, well, character to these things that you're fighting in Barbaricia, Rubicante. Like no one predicted Nail Van Darnus 2.0. No, Big Fat Tacos was disgusting. No one thought that was gonna happen. Alright, we'll continue.
Trial boss is gonna be because it's gonna be this huge story moment, but that really hasn't happened this time, and it sucks. So Sorrow of Warlet looks like a big secret. Like, ooh, we can't even tell you who the new trial boss is going to be because it's going to be this huge story moment. But that really hasn't happened this time. And it sucks. So, Sorrow of Warlet was absolutely amazing. I cried at the end. That's the Shadowbringers trial story series. And honestly, it feels like they took a really easy way out with the main story quests for these patches.
Is she going to talk about the Alliance raid? Does she talk about that? Because, man, that's a phenomenal... I said it again. That's a phenomenal piece of content.
The better parts were slice of life stuff. Zero being a character who I like, and is generally pretty well received. And the moments getting to know and sort of chill out with the Scions has been some of the brighter points. So that gives me hope for Dawn Trail, because I think it's going to be more like that stuff.
No.
But, God, it has felt stretched out, and it's felt like a filler, and that has not been fun. That has not really been very engaging for me. Now, next. The next thing. I know, this is rough, man. The next thing.
Maybe hack out.
Island Sanctuary.
Oh, no.
I literally do not know a single person that is excited and happy with how Island Sanctuary turned out.
I know, we have a lot to go.
In fact, even when it first came out...
I'll stop pausing, I'm sorry.
I remember everybody was kind of shocked that, like, oh, because we thought, oh, we're going to go there and it's going to be this relaxing island getaway vacation. And we get there and it's a fucking management sim, like, spreadsheet thing where you need to assign work schedules to all the little... robots.
Yeah, dude.
It's just like...
I hated that, to be honest. Like, I did not do... the workshop was just like... Akira hit me up all the time. He's like, I can tell you, you know, I got a resource and stuff that you can look at, and it'll help you pick out the best ones. Like, join this Discord. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do all that, man. That's so much work for something that's supposed to be like chill, relaxing content. I don't want to do that. Not that you can't figure it out generally by reading it, but why would I want to do that? Like, I don't want to sit and do like sales projections and paying attention to trends and demand. Like, I don't want to do that. You know, I should be paid to do that. Like, I don't want to do that as a leisure activity. Like, what the fuck?
What? The general reaction was, wait, we're here to work? Well, this isn't what I expected at all.
Yeah, let me be smooth brain.
There's really no reason to go to someone else's island. Almost like Garrison. Yeah, it's
They're not the same. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Of FFX Heavy.
No, it isn't. That's an exaggeration. I have to disagree with this. I said this earlier, but Garrison is way more powerful in utility. It's not a good comparison. And I don't think people spend as much time in their island sanctuary as they did in Garrisons. I don't think that's true, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Only, honestly, less fun than the Garrison was. It's less interesting than the Garrison.
I disagree with that too. I do think Island Sanctuary is more interesting than Garrison. Garrison was pretty boring. You just sat in there. I don't know, you didn't do anything really. Sent missions out and sent boats out. I like boats! That's all you did. So,
you level up for...
These people really forgot Warlords of Draenor, huh? I remember it vividly.
The spreadsheet for your workshop. And you can have that done in 15 minutes once a week. And then you really... If you're really into it, that's as much time as it's really gonna take. But you don't, there's really no reason to do it once you have the mounts and like outfits and stuff that you wanted.
That's true.
It doesn't affect the game at all. It really doesn't affect anything else. So there's no reason to go to anyone else's sanctuary. And probably the best thing that they did for it was add it so you could put outdoor furnishings there. So, I mean, that was okay, but that's kind of not what it was meant to do. Because we have housing. Not everyone does, so that's why it was good, but...
Yeah.
As replayable content...
Yeah, let's see, I get it.
It's just not it. The Pandemonium raid story was better than the main story quest. There was a couple of weird champ raids here and there, but by and large, I've enjoyed it, and that's the thing I'm probably enjoying most.
A couple weird champ raids? Shooting like a Gisties?
Raid story was better than
Agdisties or whatever you say it?
Main story quest. There was a couple of weird champ raids
Or she just didn't like the fights.
But
P7, oh god. P7S, dude, was weird champ if we're talking about mechanics. Oh god. 7-8 minutes of fuck all into 4 minutes of all the mechanics that should have been spread across those other 7 minutes. Like, what the fuck? Such a stupid fight design, dude.
By and large, I've enjoyed it, and that's the thing I'm probably enjoying most in the game right now. I don't think it compares to Eden, but it's still solid and fine. It's good.
I think it compares. I think it well, I don't know. Eden had some banger-ass remixes of fights. Eden's pretty fucking fire. And the storyline from it's pretty fire, too. But the one out of this one's pretty good. The La Habrea backstory storyline with Athena is pretty good. And the crazy Cthulhu monster alchemical experimentation is pretty cool. I like that. I do really like how they've expanded on La Habrea's story through it. So, I don't know. I think they're comparable, but I do think, I do think that Eden is I think they're better for their own, for similar, but in some cases different reasons. But that, I could make a whole video out of that comparison. Those are two just fantastic raids, so I almost said it. I almost said the word again. It's
good. We could talk about the 2-minute meta all day, but...
Oh, and Panda's Panda, it does have... Yeah, Panda's got some VA. Yep, that's a win. And Themis' last cutscene's like one of the best parts of Endwalker to me. Oh, it's so good. Oh, with Elidibus at the end. Goodness, dude. It was so good. And I really enjoyed speculating about that raid. I really enjoyed trying to predict what was going to happen, and it was a fun time. It was nice to get involved with.
No, we're not going to do that right now. I don't even want to get into it right now because it's a whole can of worms, and it's not going away anytime soon. The Knee-Deep Dungeon is okay. It's not great for leveling, unfortunately, which is one of the main reasons that people do Deep Dungeon over and over, for longevity. For replayability, you might notice a trend here where just the replayability is not a thing. It also feels like they didn't add enough things that were fresh and new.
Deep Dungeon was never good for leveling. I don't think I've used it for leveling, but I think I've heard people recommend it.
To Deep Dungeon, which is sad because Deep Dungeon I feel like is...
What do you think, Chad? Do you think Deep Dungeons are good for leveling? Or do you guys use them for leveling? Yeah, what the fuck is she smoking here? You think you don't think so? Deep Dungeon was a fast track to burnout. Was HO8's good for leveling? It was never good for leveling, it's just easier? No? Well, fuck no. Great for leveling? It's for people who don't want to run highest level dungeon. Terrible. They suck for leveling. And brain dead. Only Heaven on High. Back in Realm Reborn and Heaven's Word it was good, then it went redundant. It's good to learn the job, not to level. Palace of the Dead was good for 1 to 16. At low levels, Palace of the Dead was meh for leveling overall. Nobody really plays it for leveling. Okay. I'm just curious, because I have very limited experience with Deep Dungeons, and I feel bad, because formed up groups of people and then never even got to the parts that we wanted to get to because I was trying to get fucking cards and shit out of it and just got disinterested and didn't want to keep doing it.
Some of the best potential for content in the game that has replayability and longevity, and I really wanted them to add better, more involved progression system within Deep Dungeon. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what. Like,
just honestly, just like lift general concepts from games like Hades and stuff. I mean, and just, I mean, it's a roguelike, so just do things that are fun in roguelikes. It's not that hard to figure out, but like, I do agree, it has a good replayability, replay value, and there's even streamers like Angelus Demonis, I don't know how the fuck you say it, but I'm fucking Angelus, you know the guy, who just always is doing deep dungeons. That's like pretty much all they do.
Make it more of a roguelite. I wish they would just be a little bit more creative with it. Because right now
it is variety content and not mandatory, right? But that doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to critique it, especially if you're someone who wants to engage with the content, but for some reason feels like there's something about it that you don't want to engage with it because, right? So like, yeah, you're right. It is variety and it's mandatory, but that doesn't mean that it isn't also subject to scrutiny.
I just don't know anyone that's interested in it. Leveling.
Well, that's again. Well, I don't think that I don't know anyone who's interested in it is a very good point. It's not a very good reference to make a point because that's inquantifiable. There's no way for anyone watching to understand what that even means. Like the gravity, how many people even is that? You know, is that like 10 people that you're thinking about in your mind? Is that 50? Is it 100? Like how many people even is that? And then in the grand scheme of things, what does that mean in relation to the trends that you might find in the grander audience? I don't know. Depends on the sample size, right? So like, I get it. She's speaking from a place of feeling and her experiences, but it makes it kind of hard to bring logic to because it's just not something that you can quantify.
Up at it, your ether pool armor is really a pain in the ass, and it feels like it's not worth it because it doesn't really affect anything. The rewards aren't really there to incentivize people.
It's very anecdotal, and trust me, I have been guilty of this. I'm being critical, and I think anyway, respectfully so, about what she's saying, just because, like, I am guilty of doing this. Like, I literally see it. So, I've had to try to correct that behavior because it's just not helpful. It doesn't aid you in a positive manner when trying to get your point across. It just paints a different kind of attitude and perspective when you hear it. That's why I think it's important to just think about it and try not to say things like that. I don't know.
To do it too. But in
not
terms
that
of
not that personal experience doesn't matter, but that it's not a data point. It's not like yeah.
Content that has come out in this expansion, I'd say Deep Dungeon is alright. Like it's not that bad. It's one of the better ones. This is the most tragic case though. Variant and Criterion. Because the content is good.
I agree.
Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Content is good.
Everybody, there it is.
Fights.
Everybody agrees. This might be the most accurate everybody that she's given so far. I bet the content itself is, I think, pretty good. So whether or not everyone else thinks that, I don't know, but I think it's pretty damn good. It's the rewards that just kill it for me. It's just not worth doing, in my opinion.
Are well designed. It's innovative. It's fresh. It's like, oh, you got to think about how you're going to pull the mobs around, and that has been a breath of fresh air. There's
variance in the gameplay. She's probably enjoying it because she's probably getting out of Criterion and Variant Dungeon what she was hoping to get more out of Deep Dungeons. If she's wanting a little bit more of that innovation, path changing, that type of shit, I don't know. I guess Deep Dungeons are just about as like, are they fully random generated? Like, or does it pick from a set of layouts on each floor? Like, how does a Deep Dungeon work? It is a set of tiles. Okay, so it's from a template. That it randomly picks.
That they have tried to do something new and different, but it's like they take half measures.
Tiles are set. It randomly assembles a selection of them per floor. Got it.
Too much. Change up the formula too much. It seems like they were terrified to add anything into Criterion that, like, any kind of new item that you could get through it, anything that might screw up the
meta,
strict itemization schedule that they have.
Well, you know what? I think it would be a good thing for them to do, because I think there's a lot of people and I cannot, again, give any data set for this, but I've heard from some of my other high-end rating friends that they are not particularly satisfied with how gear functions in the game. I myself would agree with those who would that say that. I think that Criterion, it would have been nice if it could become a source of roborants, what is it, shines, twines. Like, I don't understand why that cannot be the case. Like, I just don't get it. Like, it just, I don't know. It makes sense to me that that's where you would put them and put it behind hard form-man content. I don't know. Like, why the fuck not? If it, as an extra option, don't take it away from the other ways that you can get it, but just make it another way that you can get it. But
certain types of items drop from the Alliance raid, and then certain types of items drop from the dungeon, and it has to be the specific item level. And
I
don't
agree,
want to change it at all. They don't want to give you anything that's going to drop anywhere else that's going to be different. And I think they're really crippling their game by not providing, if they're not going to do the gear rewards from this stuff.
This might be a hot take, but I think 4 weeks. I think 4 weeks. I think if you put in 4 weeks, I think that should be enough. But maybe that's too easy. Maybe that's too casual. Maybe it should be 6 weeks. I don't fucking know.
I don't know, like find something else to make people go do. I don't know, maybe related to a relic, but they chose to take that out of the game this time too. So there's just no reward. There's no reward that anyone cares about. In Criterion. Yes, there's like this mount.
That's a good point.
But you can buy that with guild. So it kind of doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean that you've cleared it. It doesn't mean much. It's a shame. In all my years of playing, I've never seen a brand new piece of content die so fast. Brand new content, and in less than a week, no one cared. In fact, I remember the day that Variant and Criterion stuff came out the first time, the Ass and Ass Savage. And I had, you know, taken my time logging in that day, and when I logged in, I saw my friend had already got the Silky mount from the Variant dungeon, from clearing all 12 paths of the Variant without even really trying.
Well, you do have to run it 12 times and have the path figured out in order to get the intended result, right? Friend Preach, wasn't he like going hard on it for like hours? Didn't it take him like hours to do that? I can't remember. It wasn't like he did it in like an hour. Yeah, day one? Yeah, I mean, he grinded it. All 12 hours. I mean, that's not very indicative of longevity. Yeah, as the extreme, that's why I like using the most extreme examples. Like, if you have one friend who is also a streamer doing it for like their own enjoyment and content, that like that might not be the best way to, you know, just like when you think about raiding, thinking about like the 1% raider is probably not the best way to design the whole of raid content if you want more than just the 1% to fucking participate in it, right? So like, you can't just look at one single data point. I mean, it's obvious. We know that.
And so they were actually done with Variant before I could even log in the same day that it came out. There's no reason to return.
Can't you say the same, I mean, can't you say the same thing about MSQ per patch? Is that a fair comparison to be like, well, by the time I logged in, my friend had already done MSQ, and maybe it was about the multiplayer aspect of maybe it was the fear of missing out? I wonder if that, I mean, I wonder if they had planned to do, I mean, probably not, but like, I don't know. I don't quite register with that.
You can be done with it in a couple of hours. And that's frankly unacceptable.
I mean,
in an MMO where you want people to be playing together. But I guess maybe they don't. Maybe they just don't want that anymore. I don't know. The PvP changes and addition of Crystalline Conflict is one of the more positive things that I think have happened in this expansion. But these series, Tombstones...
Variant, yeah, I think Variant's fine, honestly. I think it's Criterion that's the problem. I just think it's like wholly unrewarding content. Like, that's just my gripe with it, is just there's no fucking point to do it.
Rewards, the PvP rewards that was meant to keep people engaged with the PvP long term, you can knock it all out in a week or two if you try. So people that do casual, I mean, that still pops fairly often. But if you've done casual, it can get kind of
a week or two if you try, for people who play a lot per day, if you know live PvP, which some people do. Well, are those people going to just keep playing PvP after anyway? You can knock out anything in this game in 1 week, but that's not realistic for most people. True. People got lives. People got jobs, they got kids, they got shit to do, you know? I mean, even as a streamer, like, I don't even know if I would want to like grind something out like that. I don't know. It's just other games. Yeah. Yeah, hey, it's like job, have a kid, whatever it might be. Like, yeah, most people don't have playing video games as a job, yeah. And even in the event that they do, like I said, like it's just I don't know. Like I don't know. If you choose to just burn through content like that, I hate to say this, chat, but is that more like kind of like a you problem? Like, I hope that's not a hot take, but like if you choose to just like grind like that, I mean, isn't that the result of your own making? Like, it's like burning through MSQ and then complaining that the story wasn't good or like wasn't long enough or something. It's just kind of weird. It's like, well, why didn't you play it slower then? Like, what the fuck? Why are you skipping cutscenes and shit? Like, you think it's not good, but you didn't pay attention to it. You doofus, you know? I don't know.
kind of boring. Ranked is really where the fun is, in my opinion. And
yeah,
ranked players,
I know.
do this in the first couple weeks and they are gone. There's no further incentive to do it anymore after that. And so yeah, anytime I complain about it, people just say, oh well, if you're playing FFX Heavy for the PvP, you're playing the wrong game. And I'm really
That's a dumbass take. Yeah, that's a stupid take, obviously. I don't personally enjoy the PvP in this game. I think WoW's PvP is better, but I also wouldn't tell someone who doesn't enjoy this game's PvP, well, then you're just playing the wrong game.
You're playing the wrong game. And I'm really tired of this defeatist attitude, frankly. There's also people who do not want the game to ask you to do more. Let me tell you something. You don't need the game to not have stuff in it for you to walk away when you're tired. You can just walk away when you're...
I mean, okay, yeah. Healthy take. Don't feel obligated to play the game. You know, play it because you enjoy it. But if you're tired of it and you want to take a break, then that's what you should do. And so what she's saying is like, you shouldn't... Your only reason for not playing shouldn't be that you've run out of things to do. If you're burned out and tired, then like you should stop.
Unfortunately, the FF14 community has developed a little bit of a reputation for not being able to take criticism at all.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I'm getting a little PTSD right now. Oh. You gotta be careful. Oh boy. I'm not looking. Look, I'm not saying that look, chat, let me put it this way. When you speak in absolutes, only a Sith deals in absolutes.
You can just walk away.
Just listen.
Unfortunately, the FF14 community has developed a little bit of a reputation.
A little bit of a reputation, so it's not like it's a solidified everywhere reputation, but the implication is that people would know about it.
For not being able to take criticism at all.
At all. That's the words that you don't say. That's the words you don't say. That has to be replaced with, as well as they could. As well as maybe other gaming communities do. Ending, you don't end the sentence with at all, because that's when you draw a line in the sand, and that's, like I said earlier, it's those types of statements that make people feel alienated. And trust me, take it from me. I know. I know. Why dance around it? The pushback literally makes her point for her. No, it's that this isn't pushback, first of all, from me. It's about knowing how to address a crowd. That's what it's about, okay? And just take it from me as someone who has had the great pleasure and sometimes displeasure of addressing a large crowd of individuals, it's just not constructive to enter into making a point by saying something that's borderline insulting, okay? That's all it is. You gotta just think about how it's gonna sound when it comes out of your mouth. Again, take it from me, dude, please. As the guy who is literally known for getting ragey and speaking without fucking thinking in hurting people's feelings. Like, just trust me, it is detrimental. It has an effect. People will not feel good about it when you address it like that.
We need to be able to discuss when things don't feel right. They don't feel as good as they used to be. And I almost feel like people want to say that they're burnt out because it's easier for others to accept than for them to say, the content this time wasn't fun enough for me. The content didn't make me want to play.
I actually kind of agree with this take, dude, because I kind of see this not just in 14. I actually see this like everywhere, where like people can't just say that like they don't like something and that they don't want to engage with it without 5 motherfuckers responding as telling them why they shouldn't feel that way. What, like, why in the fuck does why is it that like I almost did it, speaking in absolutes. Why is it that in situations, and I think we've discussed this before, I think it comes from, I don't want to get into it, it's complex and it's going to turn into a rant, but not a rant, but just a long explanation. But I see it everywhere where like people can't just enjoy something or not enjoy something.
Content wasn't something I was excited to do. It's almost others to accept than for them to say, the content this time wasn't fun enough for me.
And that's like, you should be able to say that. I mean, it's just so stupid. It's not even an argument in that way. Like, yeah, if it wasn't fun for you, then it wasn't fun for you. Like, no one can refute that. You can't go to someone and be like, no, that's wrong. You did have fun. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. That's not how it works. You don't just get to do that, right? What's up, Second? Good to see you, bro. So, like, you know, that's fine. I found Starfield boring. Damn, that sucks, bro. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope when I play it that I don't find it boring. But, you know, I don't know. I think this also can, but you know, I don't know. I keep saying that. It's like a verbal block that I have. I think that it reflects even in the way that people position and talk about the game as you play through MSQ the first time, right? Like when you get through, you're doing ARR, and fucking people are putting Resident Sleeper in the chat. Or they're like, God, ARR sucks, can't wait to get to Heaven's Ward, you're gonna love it so much better than this, dude. It's gonna make your fucking main vein fucking bulge out of your pants, dude. And you're like, that's great, but I'm kind of enjoying A Realm Reborn. And they're like, yeah, but trust me, it just gets way better. And you're like, I'm sure it does, that's cool, but, you know, La Brea is cool. I mean, it's just kind of crazy, you know? But just wait what you see in Heaven's Ward when you see the dragons, man. There's dragons. Did you hear those dragons? It's really gonna be cool when you get to that part. And you're just like, dude, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, shut the fuck up, you know? It's so annoying. It's so annoying, dude. And then you get to Stormblood and they're like, Snoreblood. And you're like, dude, fuck off. It has some of the best individual storytelling of any of the expansions for characters like for Dola, for Yotsuyu, for Gosetsu, for Hien, for the Four Lords. My God, do I have to name any more? Like, it's phenomenally good. I said phenomenal again. God damn it. So anyway, like, it's just, there's so much good shit that came out of it. It's just, people enjoy different things. And it's okay if we don't enjoy the same things. What kind of shitty, boring ass world would it be if we all just fucking agreed with one another all the time? My God, that would suck.
Content didn't make me want to play. The content wasn't something I was excited to do. It's almost like that in itself is a taboo for some people to say. And it's easier for them to accept, well, maybe it's on me. It's just, I'm personally tired of it.
Which is like kind of, I mean, if they do that, it's like self-destructive in a way. Like, oh, it must be me, it's me. Like, no, it's okay to get burnt and bored of a game and take a break. Like, It's normal.
Game, and I think in a lot of cases maybe that's not true. Because I've never seen this many people claim to be burnt out, and I think it actually has a lot to do with the content more than people are willing to admit. And I'm tired of hearing people say, whenever we bring up these complaints or any kind of criticism about the game and why I want to be able to play it more, but I can't. I'm tired of hearing people say, well, we don't want this to be a game where it's just this huge grind where you need 30 hours a week to stay up to date. No one is saying that. Stop jumping to this
I like that voice.
Extreme conclusion. I hate that people keep doing this. It's driving me crazy. Like, just because I say that I would like a very the lightest possible pressure to please maybe log in today or this month, that doesn't mean I want to go full balls to the wall, Shadowlands, renown grinds. I don't want that. No one wants that. No one's asking for that.
That's literally what people are asking for relic weapons. What? Check Reddit, they're whining there is no grind? Yeah, but are they saying they want some fucking 30-hour-a-week grind? And we're only gonna use Reddit as our source? Ugh, God, we're gonna get nothing but negative feedback. What the fuck are you talking about?
I say that I would like a very the lightest possible pressure to please maybe log in.
It's like saying you're gonna go ask a Twitch chat. And that's what's gonna be your source. Look, I value your guys' opinions, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't cite you guys for a fucking argument. Come on.
To play together.
Reddit's more positive than the official forums.
Exciting place to be. At least sometimes, at least for maybe one.
It's because the official forums is where the boomer takes go. That's where like the boomers that don't use Reddit, they only trust using the official forums, that they just go there. Pyro, I'll have you know, I've only lost 1 or 2 YouTube arguments. I'm a professional. Take it from me. I've made over 500 YouTube videos and I've never been wrong. So get fucked.
That what we are saying is that we want to play together. We want to feel like the game is an exciting place to be, at least sometimes.
I still forget there are forums.
At least
yeah, there are.
1-2 weeks after the major patch came out.
Yeah, it does feel like lately, I can say that, at least from my perspective, it does feel like, and I think even to a sense this kind of reflects in viewership, but I also think it's a summer thing, that like, numbers are kind of seemingly a little bit lower, a little sooner after patches lately, and I don't know if that's just because the craziness that was Endwalker and MSQ was just so gargantuan that I don't know, or if it's a seasonal thing, or if it's because new expansion is on the horizon and people are just waiting for that. I think that's very likely, considering my experiences in World of Warcraft. Or some people just wouldn't log in for like the last 6 months of the expansion. So I don't know.
I don't want to see people falling off and saying they're bored. Like a week after patch. This is not normal. Okay, I've been around playing this game for long enough to know what's normal and what isn't. And this.
I don't like that kind of argument. I've been around long enough, and the presumption is that you haven't, so I know better than you. When I say things like "take it from me," I'm doing the same thing essentially, but it doesn't sound good when presented formally.
Isn't. I'm seeing really unhealthy signs right now, and I think this lack of attention to the game from the devs, that's really what it seems like. It seems like laziness. And this hesitation to criticize the game at all on behalf of the player base is going to kill the game eventually. Now, I said I don't want to be
I won't kill the game. I mean, I've been doing this for a really long time, so trust me, I know what it looks like. But what I'm saying to you is, I lost my train of thought. God damn it. I focused too much on the accent and I lost the funny thing that I was going to say. Fuck. You got to do better, Taylor. You got to do better.
From the devs, that's really what it seems like. It seems like laziness. And this hesitation to criticize the game at all on behalf of the player base is going to kill the game eventually. Now, I said I don't want...
Oh, nothing will kill an MMO but the MMO itself. They can't do it. You're not going to put me behind bars. You've got no proof. You've got no evidence. Where's the emails? Get Hillary in here. We're calling the director of the FBI. We're gonna figure it out. But this game's not gonna die except by its own hand. It's never gonna... It won't occur. It won't. It can't.
I want to be a doomer, and I don't think the game is dying. But these are things that we need to nip in the bud before they get out of hand. We're not comfortable with that in this community, because usually every expansion is... like the goose laying the golden egg. It's usually pretty damn good. And I'm willing to accept that it's impossible for any game to keep your attention nonstop all the time. That's not what we're asking for either.
Well, someone has clearly never played old school RuneScape. Because let me tell you, there does exist a game that does have the potential to command all of your time. There exists a game that will fuck you and keep fucking you, and you're gonna come back and you're gonna thank it, and you're gonna like it, and you're gonna take it some more, and you're gonna complain about it, but you're gonna come back. And guess what? That game's old school RuneScape.
But what I do want is to not see most of my friends say things like, well, I guess I'll just come back in Dawn Trail.
And that sucks, but why not ask your friends if you could just play other games together? Like, what are they, like, maybe one should consider also going and joining them and playing other games. Like, it almost sounds to me like Zepla might almost feel like this obligation to want to keep playing, but like, it's, I don't know, it sounds like the friends obviously not being there anymore is like the thing that's most bothering her. So it's like, I don't know, like, do you still find ways to interact with those friends, or is it very detrimental, maybe socially, because they only interact through FFX Heavy? I don't know. Like, I interact with many of my friends on Discord separately, so even if we're not on XIV, like, we're still, you know, talking, we're still hanging out, we're still doing things, right? Also, what Zills said, why wait until Dawn Trail when 6.5 comes out in a month? And also, I'm a little disappointed that she didn't mention the Alliance raid at all. I feel like I really am like not the only one, of course, but I'm a big lore and story enjoyer, and I'm realizing that there's a lot of people maybe in the community that maybe, I'm not to say that she's not, but maybe they just don't, I don't know how you could not just be thrilled about it. I don't know, I'm just so stoked about Myths of the Realm. It's just the best, one of the best pieces of content in the fucking whole game. I don't know. She's ignoring the fact that there's a silent majority that she's not really a part of. And that's a hard, I think for people who have YouTube channels and who have a lot of viewership and stuff and who have developed a following, I think it is normal, not healthy, but I think it's normal to feel like you do represent a lot of people, or because you have a lot of people following you that that will support your opinion, even if they didn't even necessarily think of it themselves before hearing you say it. It's their opinion's acceptance is based on hearing you say it, which happens frequently. It's part of why people get followers. But anyway, it's just, yeah, I feel similar to Zepla. 14's like home, and it'd be nice to just have a few more things to do. I play other games, but none rival 14 for me. Yeah, I mean, 14 is an amazing game, and I still find myself logging into it consistently for one thing or another. A new Alliance raid isn't really anything new for the game, and it isn't content that lasts very long. True, you go through the story one time, but it is also, I mean, if she was going to talk about Pandemonium, you know, why not talk about the Alliance raid? That's kind of my point. If we're going to do one, we might as well do the other. And it is, in and of itself, a great piece of content. So, not to be disregarded, even if it's not new for the game. Neither was Pandemonium, neither is MSQ, when you want to look at it that way, from a systems point of view, right? But, I think Savix mentioned something similar. He wanted to lose his time in 14, but ran out of stuff he was interested in. Well, I don't know if that is partially, that could partially be a result of him being interested in a very specific kind of content. I mean, that doesn't mean that 14 doesn't have content available, right? Like, the thing is that 14 actually does a pretty good job of catering to different types of players with its housing, its glamour, with the Island Sanctuary, with crafters and gatherers. It's far more extensive, right? So if you're interested in those types of activities, there's a lot of content in the game. Frankly, there's tons of content in the game if you want to engage with it. But if that's not what you're interested in, then you are probably going to run out of things to do if you're, say, specifically interested in raiding. The same thing happens to raiding, right? The same thing will happen to PvPers. Like, I mean, it's not infinite. I don't know. I'm okay. I don't know, dude. I'm like okay with things not being infinite. I don't want to have to go back and engage with something forever, and especially have multiple systems that I feel obligated to want to engage with at the same time, and then feel like I either don't have time to do everything I want to do, or that I have to pick one or the other. or I have to spend extra time that I didn't really want to have to spend to do both. I don't know. There's different ways to think about that. So it's just, I don't know, it's complex.
Now, some people are saying, oh, well, it's just because they were so busy working on an FF.
Remember when we all used to think WoW was forever 4 years ago? The TLDR problem Zepla points out is there's less stuff to do endgame in Endwalker compared to other expansions. Yeah, and with the no exploration zone and without the trial series separated from the MSQ, I think that in that sense she's right. Yeah, I'm not really gonna disagree. I don't have any intent to disagree with that. I think that's, I agree with the sentiment. Yeah, I just think delivery is just rough. I mean that's all. Really, like, she said some things I disagree with, sure, but I think mostly it's just delivery. She's just emotive and passionate about what she's saying, and so she comes off a little aggressive, a little, a little tunnel visioned, but who the fuck am I to I mean, I do the same shit. So, but it's just important to keep that in mind as you listen to someone's opinions and thoughts, because you need to be able to separate, like, the message that they're trying to convey, at least to a degree, from the way in which they're conveying it, because we don't all always say things the best way, that we should. We don't always pick the right words the first time. We don't, not everyone is functioning off of a script their entire life, right? That's not how it works. So, sometimes we say things that maybe make us feel like foot in mouth, or just are a little off-putting, and that's a very hard thing to get over, because it's inherent in our behavior, really. So we have to step back and really look at our behavior if we want to change that. I'm not saying Zepla has to, not even saying she should, but I just think that would probably be one of the main reasons why she's probably getting pushback from some people in this video, is just the delivery. I don't even necessarily think that objectively the things she's saying are offensive or incorrect even. It's just delivery. So yeah.
16, that they had to cut some corners here. I don't know if that's true, and frankly, I don't care. Because the fact is, a lot of people are saying it. And if a lot of people feel that way, then it's unacceptable.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people saying something doesn't make it true. And that's the thing you always have to remember, too. You can't just go around and just because we complain a lot and say that it is, that doesn't mean that it is. Just, period. It's not how it works.
Maybe Yoshi P's attention has been divided. I mean, he is on the board of directors. He tried to get off it, and they won't let him for some reason. He had been working on FF16, and he's trying to be director producer of FF14. I just feel like it's too much. They're working this man too damn hard, and he needs to stop doing everything else that he's got his attention split on and focus on FF14. Give it his full, undivided attention for Dawn Trail, because I don't ever want to hear anybody saying again, making excuses for them as to why the content seems worse this time around. The main
Shameful, unacceptable, so much hyperbole. Yeah. Yep. I've had to really tone that down on myself, dude. I'm really fucking bad about that. Yeah. And that's honestly part of why I'm so open to critiquing it, because I have received tons of feedback on the way that I talk to people. Trust me, chat. Trust me. I mean, you guys have seen it. Many of you have given me that feedback. And, here we are.
The main point I hope I can really get across to you in this video is that this isn't black and white. It shouldn't be a choice between so much pressure to log in that there's like FOMO even. You have to log in right now or you're missing out. There's somewhere better to be between that and
not needing to log in for anything.
We're not asking you to do anything, so why do you care?
I feel her on that. I do. And I agree with the core of what she's saying. Okay. I do. I agree that it is for me as well, but not everyone, that for me it is a little lacking in the things that would want to keep me in that would keep me wanting to engage with the game. So I can agree. But I will not speak for my friends or anyone else, really. I just can't, because if I do, then half of my assumption's gonna be wrong. She used a lot of harsh words, but without those words, I agree with her passionate sentiment about the failures of this expansion. Still enjoyed it, but enjoyed it significantly less to other expansions. And that's totally, and that's what people need to be able to hear and accept and be like, okay, and your perspective is valuable, it matters. So thank you for sharing it. Even amongst people who might just flat out disagree with you. And and that's fine. The lack of trial questline might have been due to Criterion, but Criterion reward system could use some work to keep people engaged. Yeah, I think for me, it boils down to we got other newer, different types of content, but do they exist in lieu, perhaps, of the presence of another type of content that we have historically received, like an exploration zone? I don't think that... I don't know. I don't know if that content and all the work that went into it is equal to that of doing a Manderville, you know, Relic questline set of zones and shit. I don't know. But I do know that it would be cool to have a separate trial series with its own separate storyline. It would have been cool. However, they did do it in MSQ, I think also partly because in the case of Endwalker, all of the primary MSQ and everything that would have normally been considered post-MSQ patch content that that went with the MSQ that was in the .0 part of the expansion release, that it was all included in Endwalker, right? That's all in 6.0. So that is also part of why structurally it is different, right? Because they took the opportunity of, we do have three major patches to come, 5 major patches to come, right? Actually, to put this other content in there in whatever format that we want. And if that exists in the form of MSQ and the trial series, then, you know, it's a different thing, right? I guess I can see what they were going for, but I will also say that I would have liked to have had, you know, the main story quest line, maybe with like a trial where we fought, I don't know, multiple of them at a time, and maybe they were less powerful than what they were in canon when we actually fought them. But still, I don't know. I kind of miss having Eureka or Baja, even though I didn't play it when it was current. So, you know, I can't really speak to it from that experience. But I do miss doing that content.
I guess you need to think of your own reason to care. And most people don't, because they're constantly being barraged on all sides by a million other games that are working very hard to give them lots of reasons to care about logging into those other games.
And I agree with this. But I also agree that it is healthy that you should play other games and that you should not have one single exclusive, you know, thing or whatever that you have to play all the time. Like, you should go experience other games. Like, you owe it to yourself. Like, you shouldn't, I don't know, even if a game gives you a lot of reason to play it, like, there's nothing wrong. I don't know, maybe that's not really what she's saying though, so maybe I'm just making a stupid argument.
And people have a limited amount of time, and I'm sorry to say, but FFX Heavy needs to fight a little harder for people's time and not take it for granted. People will just always come back and always play, and like, yes, maybe they will for the expansions, but what about the rest of the time? One thing I would say also as another little addendum, DSR was probably the best experience I've ever had in gaming. Clearing DSR, the ultimate raid that came out in Endwalker, was the most fun I've ever had in a game, period.
That's great, but also, in a sense, kind of a shame, because, like, most players will never touch that content at all. Like, I haven't even done DSR. Like what?
Period. It was phenomenal. Clearing DSR, the ultimate raid that came out in
Well, let me catch up on chat. IMO, just go play the games is only a helpful thing to tell someone they're burnt out by the content of the game. It isn't helpful when people are saying this MMO does not have good content for its player base. Right, and I guess to touch on it again, what she's saying is that the content in the end game is not compelling enough for it to compete with these other games that are competing for your attention. Not that you feel obligated to play it because of some system in the game that does something such or whatever. It's more about you not having that inner drive, that inner desire to play it because the content in and of itself is not enjoyable to engage with. And that's why she is seeing it as an issue that these other games that are coming out and they're real good games, you know, people are going and playing them. She's seeing that, and I don't know if it's incorrect or correct, I have no fucking idea, but she's seeing it as like people are going and playing that because in my opinion, and the people that I've played with and experienced with, the game is not currently enjoyable. The patch content is not good. It has not been fun. It's not been rewarding enough to keep us playing it, right? So, I mean, it's... She makes a good point, but there's still it comes back to like, there's still, I hate being this guy, but there's no data. Like there's nothing that we can look at to say that, to back up the feeling, to back up the claim, to see the actual, I don't know, it's hard. It's just hard when there's, I don't know, when there's a lack of evidence provided, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm not here to say what she should or shouldn't fucking do in terms of ultimate and content and shit like that. I'm just saying it's just like, it's interesting to give a blanket critique when it's centralized around, frankly, and by no offense do I mean when I say this, but like a very narrow view of the reality. Like, we have a habit of creating and existing in this pocket, and our perception of what occurs in that pocket must apply to the reality outside of it, because that's what we experience. So this is what it is, right? But not like, so seldomly do we actually go and seek out other experiences, other communities, and engage in other things to realize what might actually be happening. Like, it's just very easy to trap yourself in a bubble. Like, and that can be due to like it being overwhelming and you're not really knowing how or where to engage or when to engage with other types of ways of playing the game. Like, I don't know. Just because people are playing other games doesn't mean they're unsubbed, though. I haven't played since ENDWALKER released, but I've been subbed because I support the game and its devs and their vision, and I like coming back on occasion to catch up without losing out. I'm sure I'm not the only one who does that. I feel like you are likely not the only person who plays that way. It's highly unlikely that that would be the case. But yeah, Lilith, I just read what you said, the first message, and I actually really agree with this. Let me catch this. There's no mid-core content. I don't think the jump in difficulty from variant to criterion's too extreme. I don't like Zepla has cleared either. I don't think Zepla has cleared either criterion or top either. It's not an attack on her, but she just chooses not to engage with content rather than it not being there. And that's a valid point. Just because it's a piece of content that you don't enjoy doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that was the point I was trying to make earlier with Savix. You know, he's a big PvPer, whatever that may have drawn his attention to the game for him. You know, he might not have found as much of what he had in World of Warcraft that drove his PvP desires as what's found in Final Fantasy XIV. Or he may have found more, pardon me, in World of Warcraft than he does in Final Fantasy XIV, right? So that's content. It seems like putting yourself in a bubble. When people say the word content, I think that there is an inherent, and I could be wrong, of course, but this inherent tendency to think about only the content you play when you say the word content. Whether I engage with it or not, or whether or not I enjoy it, does not mean that it does A, does not exist, or B, is not enjoyable to other people. Like, yeah, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, so to speak, but yeah.
ENDWALKER was the most fun I've ever had.
Rawlarda, thank you very much for the 10-month resub.
It was phenomenal. It showed me...
Hey! She said the word! Hey! Let's go!
It showed me just how amazing battle content in FFX Heavy can be.
And hard. And really hard and inaccessible to most of the player base. I have to say it, chat. I gotta speak up for the casuals in the back, okay? Most players, and I mean most, are not going to clear that content. Or maybe even ever engage with that content. It is such, I don't know if people realize, ultimates are at the highest end of difficulty for any content in any game I have ever played. Like, they are hard. It is a lot of progression. It is a lot of dying. It is a lot of repetition. Way more than Savage. It's just, it's brutal. It's brutal. And is it rewarding to clear it? Sure. But can most people even get a group that has the willpower to consistently stay together and meet up consistently long enough to clear that content? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. No. A very, very, very small number of people are able to do that. It's crazy. The fights are 18 minutes long, 20 minutes long. If you die 17 minutes in, that is a quarter of an hour that you've just lost. Just think about that. If you're wiping 17 minutes in, you're getting close, fair enough. But you're also only able to pull, if you had great prog pulls, 4 times an hour. That's insane. That's crazy.
Showed me that the game can be so thrilling and so engaging.
Yeah, Savage is good enough for me too. Honestly, dude, Savage is good enough for me. Ultimates are fucking hard, man. It's no joke. It's harder than anything in WoW.
So exciting.
Rengeki, I would actually maybe like to see that. You should put in the React Request channel in the Discord.
It keeps you like invested and engaged, and like your choices matter. And that was so incredible for me. And so I know how good the game can be. And
in that one singular aspect, though, I mean, yeah, it's very specific.
And maybe because of that experience, I continue to set a very high standard for it, and I want them to do the same. Now, that is not actually all I have to say about this
True,
topic.
Mighty Zekin, that's true.
But the next part of this discussion is about the casual experience, and that's going to be my next video, because what I've noticed is, seems like some people like to say, oh, well, it's all for the casuals. They're just dumbing down the game for the casuals. And,
yeah, after what I just said, no. This game is not dumbed down. It ain't dumbed down. If you want to play a dumbed down... Listen, we're not going to talk shit. Let's just move on.
I got news for you. The casual experience is really suffering. We all need to get real cool about it real quick if we want this game to really thrive, because we need to hear from all sides. We need to hear from all perspectives.
I agree with this point.
There's
no arguing what she's saying right there at all.
I can hear the canary in the coal mine is what I'm saying. And
I don't understand. I don't get what that means, but yeah, she's right. It is important, like I said, to be able to be critical of something, but also considerate of the other people being critical, and because you care about it, not out of spite for it. You shouldn't engage in things in your life that you don't care about. But she's right. I mean, people need to be able to be constructive and be able to critique the game. True.
And I want positive change. And so we're never going to get that if we just plug our ears and close our eyes and act like, oh, everything's perfect all the time. That's stupid.
What's up, Kalia?
Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Please tell me about your thoughts on the Endwalker patches. Have you been spending this time putting 200 hours into Baldur's Gate 3 like I have and so many other people have?
No, I've been killing Hydra.
Ears and close our eyes and act like, oh, everything's perfect all the time. That's stupid.
Back.
Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Please tell me about your thoughts on the Endwalker patches. Have you been spending this time?
I don't agree with everything in the video, and the delivery is a little shaky, but you know what? I like the video.
Putting 200 hours into Baldur's Gate 3.
There's definitely some things in here I agree with.
Is there what other games?
And I think there's just structural changes that have happened in the game that maybe haven't been considered. At least we're not, you know, expanded upon or mentioned in this video. But that doesn't mean that she hasn't thought about it. It just means maybe it didn't come to her mind at this point. Because, yeah, it very much is like a stream of consciousness kind of video. Stream of thoughts. And, you know, I think that's typically when we tend to slip up and be just, you know, just brutally honest. And she seems like a realistic kind of person. I think some of the things she's had to go through probably have made her more like that, and that's fine. And I think she seems like in the sense of like she just doesn't have a problem speaking, you know, matter-of-factly expressing her opinions and views, and you know, just the way it comes out just isn't always for everybody. That's all.